Alright, so today we're going to be talking about synonyms and antonyms, where you can find them, why you would even need to use them, and what are they. So synonyms. Synonyms are words with similar meanings that can be used interchangeably. They're a good way to make sure that your writing doesn't sound or get a little repetitive or boring. For example, instead of saying that something is nice all of the time, you can take out that word, change it for a word that's a little bit more colorful, such as fantastic, incredible, wonderful, etc. Or if you are using the word nice to describe a person, you could say that they're kind, they're caring, they're thoughtful. Okay, Miss Schmidt, now you're getting a little boring. Let's move on. So, why are they important? Synonyms allow you to actually make your writing sound a little more descriptive for your reader. If I use the word good to describe everything, then my readers would eventually check out and they probably would stop reading my story. They wouldn't really enjoy it anymore. But if I changed some of my sentences to include the words fantastic, great, excellent, and so on, then it would keep my reader hooked. So depending on the synonym and the sentence that you are using, it actually can also help you visualize how a character is speaking. So if I wanted to take a look at the examples that I gave you, it's important to notice that the meaning of my sentences aren't changing here. So let's take a look. Do your chores, said Olivia's dad. Do your chores, demanded Olivia's dad. Those two words are synonyms. The definitions of the two words themselves really aren't that different from each other. The only thing that is changing is it gives you a clearer picture of how Olivia's dad is saying it. Anybody can say something, but demanding something is a little bit stronger of a word. It's important that you realize when you're using synonyms, the sentence itself, the two words that you're changing, the sentence isn't changing because of that. Oops. So now would actually be a perfect time to pause, look at your writing in front of you, see if there's any synonyms that you have for words that maybe you're noticing that you've used multiple times in a row. Okay, I'll give you some time to work on that and then we will move on to the next slide. You can also just pause this and think about your writing and then we're gonna move on. Okay, so a thesaurus. A thesaurus is actually not a dinosaur, believe it or not, despite my corny joke that we have here. So what do you call a dinosaur with an extensive vocabulary? A thesaurus. A thesaurus is actually a tool or a book even that you can use to help you with your writing to make your word choice a little bit better. You can find synonyms in thesauruses. You can also find antonyms, which we're going to talk in a little bit about. It's something that you can use no matter how long you've been writing. It's a good way to check back and see if there's stronger or clearer words that you can use in a sentence. So the next time that you're writing and or right now while you're writing, get up, try and find a thesaurus around the classroom, or I've included a few resources of websites that you can go to. Since you're watching this PowerPoint now, you should be able to utilize any of these resources. All right, that brings us to antonyms. So I want us to switch our brains. Antonyms are a little bit different than synonyms. So while synonyms are two words that have similar meanings, antonyms are words that have opposite meanings of one another. So in our little picture, hot and cold are clearly opposites of each other. In my example sentence, I love playing outside and I hate playing outside, there's only one word in my sentence that's changing. But if you look at those words that are changing, they have completely different meanings. So in antonyms, when you change those words in your sentences, you're actually changing the meaning behind the whole sentence. So that's what's different between synonyms and antonyms. Why are antonyms important? So they help to expand your vocabulary. Maybe you don't know what one of the antonyms are in a sentence, but you know the opposite. So say you don't know hot, but you know what cold is. Well, if you know hot and you see cold in the same sentence, they're probably antonyms of one another. Okay, they can help give you context clues to what the meaning of another word is. So like I was just saying, if I used the example, while Sarah was very generous with her money, Bob was very stingy. Well, if you know what the word generous means and you know that it means that somebody's very giving, they're kind, and then you see the word stingy and you're thinking to yourself, well, I have no idea what that word means. You can use your context clues, the words in the sentence, to kind of figure out that stingy means the opposite of generous, which means that somebody that is not willing to help out others. Okay, when am I ever going to use and or see synonyms and antonyms? You can see them in your writing, obviously. You can see them in everyday communication. Maybe you don't even realize that you're using synonyms and antonyms when you're talking to people. And then, like I mentioned before, when you're reading and using your context clues. Okay, so that brings us to our wrap up. Synonyms and antonyms are both parts of speech, and they're equally important to know and learn. They allow you to expand your vocabulary, and nothing is more interesting than making your writing more creative and making your stories sound better for your readers.